This week on The Motor Show, plug-in racing cars, the limo collection of actor Ken Morley, and our used bargain of the week is a Jeep Cherokee. We're in a quarry. It's the weekend. We're halfway up a mountain. It's blowing a gale and it's just started raining. Yes, we're off-roading. This is the All-Wheel Drive Club. They come from all over the country and there are all sorts here. No snail's pace in low gear for these guys. It's foot hard down in their Mad Max vehicles.
Now, often when we've been to various events at the weekend, the scoring is done by a young lady or a young gentleman with a clipboard and pieces of paper flying everywhere. But this is high-tech, isn't it? Why?
Yes, basically because it's part of the British Cross Country Championship, and there's a great deal of money and time and effort put in by the drivers, and they need to follow it through. The whole system needs to be organised and run properly.
In a nutshell, how does it work?
Basically, the competitors have a penalty-free time for completing the course. Today they have a 5-minute penalty-free time, and they have 11 laps of the course to do, and it's the man with the least penalty times at the end of the day.
And today's tough 3-mile course is already taking its toll of vehicles, drivers and the odd co-driver.
What's the problem?
His arms are too big. I'm going to cut them off when I get back in the pits. They knocked the fuel switch off.
Ah.
We've got axle, so we're going to have to cut it off just below the elbow there.
He will have to lose his right arm back in the pits.
Co-driver error.
Yeah, terrible mistake.
How do you feel now?
Well, I'm only here for the crack, and I shan't be winning anything.
Have you got a substitute co-driver?
Well, we're double-ended, we're both driving.
All right. You keep your elbows in next time round.
Yeah.
Some evil person has decided to route today's course through the middle of a bomb crater, and it's claiming yet another victim. What happened?
Throttle cable broke again. That was the third time. Yeah, third time today it let go. The end of the cable was gone frayed, so we're running on borrowed time really. It's already cost us the maximum earlier, but we got away with just 3 minutes on that one. So we're still, fingers crossed, it will just do the rest of the day.
It's a 5.7 Chevrolet engine, high compression pistons, high lift camshaft, big valve cylinder heads.
Specially tuned by you.
Oh yes.
In fact, you built the whole car, didn't you?
Yes, the whole thing from scratch. Just a bare chassis, build it upwards. We have the oil cooler in the back, keeps it away from any stones that might hit it, puncture it, all out of the way. We have, we take cold air in from the duct in the roof, through the radiator and out. This large radiator, large fans, very important to keep the engine cool.
So the chassis, axles, springs, obviously engine, far more important than the panels, which are just there to make it look nice.
No, the panels and the bodywork are very important. I've had a couple of very big accidents in this, and myself and my passenger have walked out of it. Your roll cage, that saves your life, and it's probably saved mine once or twice.
I'm going to decline the offer of a drive round the course, but perhaps you'd be so good as to take me round.
Of course.
So now, for all of you who've been waiting for me to get lumbered, here it is.
Speed is a factor that differentiates the all-wheel club driving from other off-road activities. These vehicles can reach 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, and having been round the course in one, I can tell you that's very exhilarating. And the other thing about this sport is it's freezing cold. Where's the T-wagon?
I have an electric race car, Snow White, does 140 to 150 miles an hour. Smoke the tires, up to 80 to 90 miles an hour. And I race the thing in sports car events. They put me in a class where I need to race against formula cars with wings and superchargers. The fastest class there is where they put me in. Take a big block Corvette, a 500-inch Corvette, put a tube chassis in it, 12-inch wide racing slicks, and you'll blow its wheels off. There's no gasoline car street legal that can keep up with it. It's at 60 miles an hour, you hit the throttle, it snaps your neck. It's painful to drive the thing, it's that fast.
What distinguishes electric performance vehicles from the boring sort is the latest technology. And in Silicon Valley, one backstreet laboratory is aiming for pole position.
The controller is what makes the difference between a golf cart and a race car on these electric cars. This one here will do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3 seconds.
Really?
While this one here is more of an ordinary controller in speed, and it might do 20 seconds or so in an ordinary car.
So is this an ordinary on-the-road electric vehicle?
Actually, it's purely made as a test bed and done a few other things to make it easier for testing, put in a lot of instrumentation. Our main role here is to abuse the components the best we can. We figure if they do not break on this vehicle, then they'll hold up well in an ordinary electric car.
The experiments continue on the street.
This car is a Porsche 914. It has been converted to electric. It has been raced at the Phoenix Solar Electric 500 for about 3 or 4 years in a row and is placed either second or third.
What kind of speeds do you get to?
Well, if you promise not to tell the cops, 95 on Bayshore, 101. And when it was originally built, they had it close to 100. So this one can really move out.
We're It is an acronym. It stands for Women's Electric Racing Education International Team. We're It, and we're all women, and we converted this rabbit, and it's nicknamed Hopalong, and it's all women built, and it's 10 12-volt batteries, and we raced it in Phoenix in March at the Electric 500, and it's now a commuter car, and it's our special baby.
Californian commitment means that even British classics get the electric treatment.
This car was donated to a local environmental group on the stipulation that it be converted to electric. So that started us on finding out about electric cars and how to put it all together and make one work.
I had been thinking about doing an electric conversion, so I talked to some people and they told me, yeah, it's possible to do it. And being a backyard mechanic, I figured, all right, I'll try.
And I bet you thought you were the only one on the block, didn't you?
Actually, yeah, I thought I might have had something unique here with this one. As it turned out, there was another electric Sunbeam that was actually built before this one, not 8 blocks from where I live.
Mike, there's something strange about this. There are no batteries.
No, this car we decided to put the batteries in the back. You get tired of working around cramped quarters, so we moved them in the back so we had access to all the different components that are in here. For experimental reasons, we like to be able to get in here and play with this car a little bit.
I don't buy gas for this car. That's what you use for this car.
But there are serious electric commuters already committed to seeking the cleaner future that we hope awaits us all. Why did you go electric?
For my kind of driving, which is a lot of short trips during the day and going to work and then from work to meetings, it just made sense to me to use an electric car.
What about speed and range?
The top speed of this particular car is 65 miles an hour. The total range on this car is about 60 miles. It drops a little bit during the winter. If the batteries are cold, you don't get as much range.
So this one was a conversion that you had done?
This one was a conversion that was done for Robin Williams' wife. I found it out on the internet. They actually had 6 cars listed at US Electric Car. So we bought it for $15,000 with 6,700 miles on it.
But of course, electric commuters need electric employees' car parks. Patty, what does your job involve as part of the commute department?
We have an air quality standard that we have to adhere to, and in that we have to reduce the number of cars and people driving alone to work.
And what are you doing for electric vehicle owners specifically?
For electric vehicle owners, we provide outlets for them to plug into that they can recharge their vehicle during the day.
Electric vehicles come in all shapes and sizes, and most of them represent the essence of sober practicality. But in California, as with most things, if it's worth doing, it's worth going too far. Electric supermarket trolley racing and light relief for the electric enthusiasts. The only rule, vehicles must still look a bit like the grocery carts they're based on. And don't worry, those flames are just there for effect.
Southern California, where they love unusual cars. And in this, the richest state of the United States of America, they love a genuine hero. So when a four-wheeled hero emerged from the Gulf War, Californians took it to their heart. This is the high-performance military vehicle, or HMV, called the Humvee by American troops. But now there's a civilian version, the Hummer. Now, has it gone soft for the domestic market? You've driven both vehicles now. This is really just the soft version, isn't it?
This is, I wouldn't say soft. I would say this is definitely the pampered version, though. Because if you put me back in the military today and having driven one of these and going back to driving the other, as far as where I could take them both the same places. But I'd rather be in this one because, I mean, I got your bucket seats and the CD player and the air conditioning.
All the features of an American family saloon, in fact, but there's more to the Hummer than that.
Well, let's start from the top, shall we? All right, let's go on inside and take a look here. This vehicle is the King of Desert Storm. It has a very large engine. It's classified as a Class 3 truck. What does that mean for you? Well, it simply means if you ever wanted to tow anything, including 2 more trucks, you can tow them. It's not necessarily made to go commuting from work back and forth. It's a vehicle that's really identifiable only to you as an individual. It's off-road. It's very easy to drive. It doesn't look like it's easy to drive, but it's extremely easy to drive. And the one thing about it a lot of people like is most people gawk when they see this. Now, do you see that little black button right there?
Yep.
All right, that's called a tire selector. It's a part of our system called a CTIS, which is a Central Tire Inflation System. That CTI, once you turn it on, the wheels can deflate to 10 pounds of pressure, to 35 pounds of pressure, all 4 wheels or just 2, and you can just breeze right over soft sand. Something else, Land Rovers, Jeeps, all of them are made for off-road, right? 4x, right? No way. This is a 4x. A Land Rover can't climb a 70-degree grade like this can. Though it's not indicated we're supposed to do that, it can. It can go sideways on a slope 40 degrees. Most vehicles can't do that. This vehicle can stop from a dead stop, can climb a wall about this tall, which is at least 22 inches, okay? Dead stop, flat wall, straight up, right over it, like a piece of pancake, okay? That's one of the things that I like about this vehicle, and that's one of the things you're gonna love about it. The clearance under this vehicle is unlike anything you've ever seen on a passenger vehicle. Why is this thing even available for passengers? Because people like Arnold Schwarzenegger saw them, couldn't believe that they actually can drive on our roads instead of in a battle somewhere, and fell in love with it, and now people like you can get them.
What kind of people are buying these vehicles?
Rich people. I'd say we've got 3 or 4 of them have been ranchers. They own citrus farms in the area, and they want to, you know, they grow the oranges and avocados on hillsides now because all the valley land was taken up with homes. So they, you know, they want to be able to get up that mountain in the winter in the mud. I think that's probably been our #1 customer so far.
We've brought our traveller's checks with us. How much will you take from us for one of your Hummers?
Well, they start at $43,000. They go up to about $66,000. That's U.S. dollars, by the way. You know, it's not that much in pounds. But I'd say the average price so far has been about $58,000.
Military technology doesn't come cheap. The Hummer is still largely an executive toy, but not one that every executive wants to drive. Because Gulf War Commanding Officer General Stormin Norman Schwarzkopf didn't use one. He drove a Range Rover. After the break on the motor show, Will Hoy, 2 Ferraris and an open track. What a wonderful combination.
F is for fast. E is for exciting and exotic. R is for red. And R again is for racing. You getting it yet? A is for amazing, aerodynamics and acceleration. And R again is for rosso. And then finally I is for Italian. If you haven't got it yet, you're definitely a sad case. I'm here today at Gawsworth Hall to peruse two wonderful Ferraris. Just look and listen to these. The 1962 250 GTO and the F355. Are they cars that live up to the legend? So guys, thanks very much for bringing these two wonderful cars along today. David, this is the Ferrari 355, commonly acknowledged to be one of the best Ferraris that's been built for some time. Is that justified?
I think so, yes. It's a lot better than its predecessor, and it marks a return to the values that we were used to in Ferraris days gone by. It's using the 5-valve cylinder heads that they used in Formula 1 until the middle of last season, and we've also got 6 gears to make the best use of the power.
So, really, there's only one thing for it. You better give me the keys and let me have a go.
Enjoy yourself.
Thanks very much. I've always wanted a set of Ferrari keys. The 355 may not be the classic that the GTO is, but it's tremendous racing pedigree. The one thing that really tells you that it's a Ferrari is the engine behind me, the 3.5-litre V8, pushing out some 390 horsepower. It doesn't really have any vices, particularly mid-corner, which a lot of cars in its class seem to suffer with 1 or 2 problems. But if there's one thing I don't like, though, it's the interior finish. Whilst the leather's quite nice, I hate the colour. But like all Ferraris, you really have to rev it. You really have to use it on the open road. It's not a shopping car, that's for sure. So, Stephen, with cars like this, why on earth do you want to own a Ferrari built in 1962?
Simply this. It's the finest old 1962 12-cylinder motor car that's ever been made by Ferrari. It won more races than anything you can imagine, and really the whole heritage of Ferraris come from the 250 GT, and this is a 250 GTO. The engine is unbreakable at 8,000 revs per minute.
I think we better look at this engine.
It's a 300 horsepower V12 dry sumped engine. The centre of gravity is below the height of your knees, which gives it its exceptional stability. I must say that every time I get in the car, it makes me feel 30 years younger.
Well, I fancy trying a bit of that myself, so we better have a little drive. The first thing that strikes you about this car is its complete lack of creature comforts, but that's not surprising considering the car is as old as it is, built in the 1960s. But having said that, it's got all that wonderful feel that a race-bred car, road car, should have. You feel every bump in the road. The one problem really is the question of conversation. You can't have a lot of it in this car, because as you can hear, it really is quite noisy. But there's one phrase to sum it all up, is bella macchina. A beautiful, beautiful car. It took all my skill as a smooth-talking racing driver to persuade these guys to let me take their cars off the road and onto the racetrack, where hopefully there are no milk floats. As on the road, you really have to work this engine hard, but round here it's a real joy as you never get below that dreaded 4,000 revs. On the track, its age begins to slip away, so you can try to use the car to its proper limit, although you'll never reach the top speed of 170 miles an hour on a circuit like this. But who cares? This is absolutely brilliant. This is one of only 32 cars ever built. In its heyday in the 60s, this car was a Cobra and an E-Type eater, and it had some great battles. In fact, it ended its career rather ingloriously when it was taken out by a milk float between stages on the Tour de France in 1964. This car is an absolute masterpiece. It's a work of art. It was built by Scaglietti, who must have been a pupil of somebody like Michelangelo. Just look at that bonnet as it falls away from you, and you can see those wonderful bulges, hiding, of course, the pièce de résistance, the V12 engine. And it just shows the racing pedigree of this car, which is now some 32 years old. If you can stand the high-pitched scream, it will actually rev to 8,500 revs, and a V12, even of this vintage, sounds absolutely wonderful. It's exactly as a race car should be. So much for the GTO. Let's take a time warp and see what Ferrari have pulled out of the hat. This car is really beginning to show its racing pedigree. It's an excellent chassis. One penalty of the traditional Ferrari gearbox is that it can be a little bit slow, and at times you can miss shift, so you have to take great care. In fact, the 0 to 60 time of 4.7 seconds is fairly impressive, and the top speed of 183 miles an hour is something we certainly won't reach today at Oulton Park. There's just one question you would probably like to ask, is how much these cars are worth. The 355 is worth about £84,000, But the GTO, this car, is worth something in the order of a cool 10 billion lira. That's £4 million to you. I mean, it is a classic after all.
Peter, better buzz immediately now.
Coronation Street star Ken Morley collects limos.
Luxury.
And the bigger the better. This is his 23-foot Lincoln Stretch, just one of Ken's dream cars.
Has it always been a fantasy of yours? You know, was it a boyhood dream?
Yes, it was really. It used to say that the girls were always clean, but the cars were always dirty. But now it seems to be the other way around. But it's Hollywood, really, and, you know, all that fun palace with Paramount and MGM and all that sort of thing, and people were driving around in all these lovely cars, which you can see before you.
What's the next one along the line?
Ah, no, this one. It's a very big car. It's a 6.6, and it's the coupe. It's this car in a coupe size, as you can see. Right. Lovely old car, two-door, with the opera windows at the back. This is a Fleetwood Brougham, also 79, last of the big ones. A year and a half later, they became 4-litre cars, but this is 7. All these are fun cars, really, toys for boys, and that's what you have, because when you reach my time of life at 29,
of course,
you have to have the...
So what about this one, Trans Am? That's a really...
Well, there's no excuse for this. Yes, it's just naked power. I mean, it's a 5.7, and about 230 brake horsepower, and it loves nothing better than to eat a nice BMW first thing in the morning. Loves that. And, yes. Would you like to have a look inside? Because it's got it all. Air conditioning, electric windows, everything you could wish for this, and of course...
Perfect escape from a winter's day.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah, here we go. Listen to this.
You don't play with me, boy. Woo-hoo-hoo. Ah, it's like a satellite, son.
Next week on The Motor Show, why buy a new average car when for the same cash you could be driving second-hand luxury? Plus a report on the reasons behind road rage. That's next week on The Motor Show.